For decades, the public has been taught that global terror is driven by a singular mastermind at the center of a massive, centralized global syndicate. But the historical record tells a different story. Intelligence agencies originally armed this figure, and in the process, they helped manufacture the image of a towering global villain. To understand how this happened, we have to look at the geopolitical baseline of the late 1970s. Until 1979, the United States viewed the Persian Gulf as a highly stable region, anchored by Iran under the rule of the Shah. The collapse of this fragile status quo triggered a desperate superpower scramble, creating the precise conditions for the modern global terror threat to take root. That collapse happened abruptly in 1979, when the Shah fled Iran and the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini established the Islamic Republic. The sudden fall of an Allied outpost caused a deep sense of panic in Washington. Then, in December 1979, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan to support a struggling communist government, creating a second international crisis in just a few months. This 3D topographical map illustrates National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski's thesis to President Carter. Brzezinski argued the Soviets were not stopping at the border, but using Afghanistan as a stepping stone to reach the Middle East's oil supplies and the Indian Ocean. Driven by this specific fear of Soviet expansion, President Carter authorized covert aid to Muslim resistance fighters. The strategy was to bleed the Soviet army by trapping them in their own unwinnable version of the Vietnam War. Carter initiated the covert aid to the resistance fighters, known as the mujahedin, but when Ronald Reagan took office, his administration escalated the proxy war into the largest covert military operation in CIA history. Maintaining this effort required an enormous supply chain. The CIA provided billions of dollars in taxpayer money to the mujahedin, alongside matching financial contributions from Saudi Arabia. This schematic flowchart shows how the money actually moved. The United States did not directly control or arm these fighters. The CIA and Saudi intelligence funneled the weapons and cash entirely through Pakistan's Inter-Service Intelligence Agency, or the ISI. The ISI kept absolute control over training camps. They deliberately favored extreme anti-Western warlords, guaranteeing American dollars actively armed factions that despised the West. Radical-leaning middlemen with their own agendas managed a fragmented proxy force, far removed from the image of a unified, noble resistance. Osama bin Laden arrived in Pakistan in 1979, strictly as a wealthy Saudi building contractor. His initial contribution was measured in capital and construction expertise, rather than military strategy. His actual role on the ground was purely logistical. Bin Laden began a massive fundraising drive and brought in heavy construction equipment from his family's business to build roads, trenches, and field hospitals. To manage the thousands of Arab volunteers passing through, he helped establish guest houses in Peshawar, Pakistan, creating a central hub for funds, training, and logistical support. Because so many people were arriving and departing, bin Laden kept a log of the volunteers. According to Saudi dissidents who were there, this record was simply called the database, which in Arabic translates to al-Qaeda. The database was initially just a clearinghouse providing support to independent groups. Exaggerating the unity of this network distorts history, falsely painting a logistical coordinator as an evil genius single-handedly waging a global war. When the Soviet Union finally withdrew in 1989, the U.S. achieved its geopolitical goal and immediately abandoned the region. They walked away, leaving behind a heavily armed, war-torn country with no remaining enemy to fight. The following year, Iraq invaded Kuwait. Bin Laden offered to bring his battle-tested Afghan veterans to defend Saudi Arabia, but the Saudi royal family rejected him. Instead, they allowed hundreds of thousands of American forces to station themselves on Saudi soil. Bin Laden viewed the presence of Western troops in the land of Islam's holiest sites as an unforgivable betrayal. This profound anger drove him to issue a 12-page declaration of war against the Americans occupying the Arabian Peninsula. The proxy war in Afghanistan created a generation of battle-hardened fighters. The geopolitical maneuvering of the U.S. and Saudi Arabia had now inadvertently given them a new target. This radicalization resulted in a tragic series of blowbacks. In November 1995, a massive bomb exploded in Riyadh. In June 1996, a truck bomb devastated the Khobar Towers dormitory in Saudi Arabia, killing 19 U.S. servicemen. The violence escalated globally in August 1998, when truck bombs exploded simultaneously at the U.S. embassies in Nairobi, Kenya, and Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, killing hundreds of innocent people. In response to the embassy bombings, the Clinton administration launched cruise missiles at a pharmaceutical plant in Sudan and empty training camps in Afghanistan. These strikes achieved very little militarily. Instead, they inflated bin Laden's status. Former officials noted that the U.S. government grossly hyped the problem, elevating one individual into a global menace rather than addressing the root causes of the hostility. Before September 11th, his name barely registered in major American newspapers. Short-sighted intelligence operations and the cynical politics of oil had manufactured a global villain. The phantom menace the world eventually feared was the direct result of these superpower maneuvers.
Thank you for watching our video. If you found value in it, please take time to leave a like, subscribe to the Bookish Breakdown channel for more, and share this video with a friend.